Morning folks, welcome back. It's a bit of a damp day today, but at least it's mild. We're in February and it's 13 degrees C this morning. So maybe the groundhog didn't see a shadow and spring is on the way. We will see. But anyway, it's a bit windy and a bit damp. So I'm going to try and film today. How well the video will come out in the rain remains to be seen. And today I'm in Northwich, at the top end of Northwich, the Rudheath Lostock end. And I realised that there was a section of the canal that I don't think I've ever run. So I thought we'd better go and put that right. And get a bit of industrial history along the way. Because we're in Northwich, and if you didn't know, wich means salt. So we're at the north end of the salt, and by gum, there's a lot of salt. And here, they extract it as brine and make stuff with it. So we'll document a bit of that along the way, because I'm not sure how much longer that'll be here for. So it'd be good to have a video up there. So it's, we keep it... remind people of what it was like, because you might be watching this in 10 years' time and come and do this run, which I hope you do, whether you walk or run it, and you go, there's nothing there. Right, let's get going. Well, the rain stopped. That's good. There's all the brine here. Just up ahead we've got the Broken Cross pub. There's plenty of parking here. And we're off, heading for Broken Cross, named after the wayside cross that stood at the intersection of King Street and Penny's Lane. King Street is the old Roman road, of course, and the Romans knew all about the salt here. And here's the Broken Cross pub, which dates from 1777, built to service the Trent and Mersey Canal, which opened the same year. On the other side of the road is the smithy, which again is over 200 years old. So back in the 1770s, when the canal came, they put up a wharf and warehouses here. And of course everything was being pulled by horse, and so a smithy was needed. Let's join the canal and head down towards the chemical works. So Brunamond, here at Lostock and Winnington, started in 1873. John Tomlinson Brunner and Ludwig Mond chose the site because of the brine, so they could make soda ash. In 1926, it merged and became part of ICI, and then more recently in the 1990s, it demerged and turned back into Brunner Mond, before being taken over by Tata in 2006. Ahead we get our first glimpse of the plant, which straddles the canal, so we get a proper up-close look. It really is quite an imposing sight, and you can see it from miles around. We saw it last week over at Plumley, for instance, but you can see it further than that. You can see it up from the top of Old Pale at Delamere Forest, for instance. Soda ash was produced here across the Lostock and Winnington sites via the Solvay Process, which works by bubbling CO2 produced from limestone through brine, which has had ammonia gas bubble through it. As a result, sodium carbonate precipitates out, which is then dried in huge rotary dryers. I remember visiting one at school, actually, and I also remember in the 80s, 90s, there was a fault with the gearbox and folk thought there was an earthquake.
I also remember being kept awake late at night when I used to live up near the Winnington Lodge, and because the trains used to go through down towards the plant, and they must have been super heavy with all the limestone they were pushing along. I've not heard the squeal of the train wheels for many a year though, so the process has probably changed by now. You can make other carbonates from brine, sodium bicarb, magnesium carbonate, and there are different processes, and quite clearly they're working hard here to bring the plant up to date with the latest techniques and technologies. Here's a good spot to take in the view. We can see the canal and King Street and over to where all the brine is stored, and then the works itself here at Lostock.
I suspect the plant's proximity to the canal and the train tracks are no coincidence. Assuming they were getting the carbon dioxide from limestone, they'll need to reduce it. So they'll need a supply of limestone, which I'm guessing would come in via the canal from Derbyshire. And coal, well, from every direction.
Let's keep going and follow the canal down to Wincham and on to Marston and the Lyons Salt Works. Let me just point out this bridge as a variation. You could get off here and it would take you through to the Manchester Road near B&Q at the top of town.
Well, I know where I am now. That's the old labs at BP Nutrition. I used to work there when I was just a slip of a lad, testing the animal feed. So that means we've reached Wincham, so I could get off here, I guess, and go that way. Neumann's Flash is just there. I'm going to go a bit further though, I think.
And in so saying, I cursed it. Up ahead, the rain started again. I don't mind running in the rain, but it gets on the camera lens. I hope it doesn't spoil your enjoyment of the video too much. have the Lion Salt Works here at Marston, near Northwich. It's a restored historic open pan salt mining site, so you can see how the salt was produced in the area and also how it's then gone on to be used by Brunnemond and the chemical industry to make things. There's a cafe as well. And yes, here comes the rain, so it looks like I'm going to have to cut my trip a little bit short and get off the canal. More for another day. Ahead we have the entrance to the Lion Salt Works for those arriving by road, but also more importantly for us, we've got the Salt Barge Pub, a chance to just pause perhaps and wet one's whistle. And so ahead here on the bend, we're going to head in towards Neumann's Flash. This is a huge area of old industrial land, which has now been turned into this lovely nature reserve. We're going to head straight through Neumann's Flash and then head towards the town. Yeah, so we got off here, but you can carry on down, all the way down to the boat lift. And there's a nice path down the front, and then you can head back or through town. There's lots of options. Not quite sure now which way to go. Probably the most sensible is to head through the Flash towards the town. Spectacular stories is the Great Subsidence of 1880, when the Weaver Navigation flowed backwards into Witton Brook and then disappeared into Weybrook into a massive hole. For more than 12 hours it rumbled away, and about 800,000 tonnes of water flowed down the hole. As a result, there was a large amount of subsidence, and the Ashton Works up here sank, and it's the biggest land collapse in the history of the Northwich area. It's a story I've told before about the Townshend Arms, or the Witch, as the locals used to call it. I think it tells you a lot about the spirit of Northwich folk. So all up here, you've got all this beautiful land. We've been through here before, but there are lots and lots of paths. I could really come and film a couple more, really. So there was salt panning going on here, and there was a pub, the Witch, and all of a sudden it subsided and ended up underwater. Well, the first floor anyway. But did the locals give up? No, of course they didn't. They used to row over to it in a rowboat and climb in through the upstairs window and use the bar upstairs.
Now that's dedication to drinking, that is. It's a little car park here, by the way, and it looks like it's still free in 2025, as far as I can tell. Carey Park is that way, but I think for us it's probably easiest just to follow it up the road here, up to the roundabout, and then just follow the road back to our starting point. It's not that far. We're about 3 miles in now, so the whole run's going to be, what, 4 miles-ish. It's a busy road up ahead, so I think the best thing to do is to cross by the old Cock Hotel and then carry on along that road there, and then use the pedestrian crossing to get across the busy road. And then we're just going to follow it at light speed through down to Rudheath. Engaging light speed engine. And stop. 4.5 miles in total. Pub's just up ahead of us. I'm just having my cool down. Hope you enjoyed that. Off to the gym next. It's incline bench and traps today. See you next time, folks. Take care.